All right. Welcome into this edition of the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast. Corey Moen, Evan Bernd. Evan, how are we doing?
Pretty good. Been busy. Baseball starts in less than 20 days. So yeah, just been busy all these nights, just prepping for the season. Excited. I need a new sport to watch.
Yep, the World Baseball Classic is in full swing.
Great games.
Great games. And there's a lot of guys who you probably don't get to see throughout the year. Like, I don't know nationally how well known like Bryce Terang is. He had a huge 3-run double in the first game of pool play. And, there's just a lot of guys who, you can kind of watch. You're just like, I don't get to watch that guy that much. But, that's the beauty of the World Baseball Classic is that when you watch games like that, like you're just watching and you're just like, I maybe never heard of this guy before. And I know everybody feels a sense of pride for when they play for their home country. So, I mean, look, there's been some great games so far. I mean, even as Bryce Harper said the other day, this probably won't be as big as the Olympics.
Yeah,
but it's still like, these are still like important games. Obviously, the concern is, okay, hopefully they don't suffer an injury right before the season starts. Brewers kind of suffered a minor scare the other day with Jackson Chourio. He got hurt, and I think he got hit in the hand or something like that. Yeah. It was like a contusion, and he checked out all right. But, those are the kind of injuries you just don't want him to see before the season starts. And I think the players know that there is an inherent risk by playing in these games like right before the season. So you just hope there's not going to be like an Edwin Diaz scenario a few years ago when he blew out his knee celebrating. So far so good. A lot of fun games out there. Not every team is whole. I believe Venezuela, they couldn't get some guys cleared because if you guys don't know, there's like some sort of insurance policy.
Yeah.
That players need to be cleared to play in the World Baseball Classic, and the WBC has some really strict rules when it comes to who can participate and who can't. Javi Baez, even from a few years ago, I think he tested positive for marijuana, and I think it was like a 2023 positive test, and even in 2026, they're like, nope, you can't. You can't participate. So. Enough of that. Let's get to the Milwaukee Bucks.
More thrilling.
So, I mean, look, we've kind of been saying it. The team's not very good. Even with Giannis coming back, the team's still not very good. Jazz win aside, it's not a good basketball team. And I think that like, it'd be one thing if you were going back to, like, the Brandon Jennings and Monte Ellis days where you were kind of expected to lose. You were maybe, if you could get a 7 seed, all right, that's a good year. But the fact that every year you're having, like, expectations and you're trying to maximize Giannis's prime, and now it just feels like you're putting a square peg in a round hole. But it's like, the roster construction is not very good. Okay, Giannis doesn't – I don't think Giannis – he won't say this, but I don't think he likes playing with Kevin Porter Jr. I think he wants more or less to go back to the team-oriented basketball that he had, like in his first – even like from 2018 to 2023, let's say. When they had like an Eric Bledsoe, when they had a Holiday, when they had like a Brook Lopez, when they had like a Chris Middleton, guys whose games weren't like predicated on, I need to score the basketball or else, this entire team, like Chris Middleton can defend the ball, can defend really well. Brook Lopez, he can do both extremely well. But it just feels like, Evan, that we have a lot of players on our team right now that are just purely focused on scoring. And I think that's why that the team is where it is right now. Is We've seen it time and time again. They don't play defense really well. They don't rebound. Like, this is purely like, and even when the Bucks win, those are really high scoring games. They're not stopping anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like Miles Turner is not a stopper. Bobby Portis is not a stopper. Kuz could defend a little bit. I wouldn't say to the level that we would be accustomed to.
Correct. Not known for his.
No, and I don't even want to throw Kevin Porter Jr. in there that he doesn't play defense because KPJ steals the ball a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to put KPJ in the list that he doesn't play defense because he does. But it's just, everything's just kind of awkward right now. They expected Miles Turner to come in, make an impact. He hasn't. And, even last night, Miles Turner essentially got like relegated to the bench for Jericho Sims. And Doc Rivers was asked about that after the game, where he was essentially like, look, have you guys been watching the games? Like, Jericho Sims makes a lot of smart plays. He can dunk, he can switch, defend, and that's all right. All right, we'll see. Now I think they're kind of admitting that they overpaid for Miles Turner without saying it. Because if you're a $170 million guy is not on the floor in clutch minutes, that's an issue. That's a huge issue to me. What else?
You go.
Yep. What we're also saying is that he doesn't play well next to Giannis. But I think we knew that. Because if KPJ's focused on scoring and Ryan Rollins is like, well, goodness gracious, my game's elevating to another level. I need to score. If Kuzma's focused on scoring, then Giannis is like, whoa. What are we doing here? Like, yeah, and don't get me wrong, Giannis can score. Giannis scores the hell out of the basketball. But he's not, but he also wants to be like, do it in a way that's kind of like a Budenholzer offense, where it's like, okay, let's have a bit of a flow to this offense, not like dribble, 1-on-1, shoot. That's the issue I have with Cam Thomas being on this team. It's a weird fit, and again, this is how every Milwaukee player who they acquire, that's how they start out. Evan, remember Cam Thomas against the Magic? Oh my God.
Yep. We're back.
Like he was like, like when Doc Rivers compared him to like, Lou Williams, and I was like, what's Cam Thomas now?
Not quite Lou Williams.
No, because let's be honest, Lou Williams, he can score, but let me tell you, Cam Thomas, he's taking some shots where I'm just like, like the game against the Hawks, where it was just a straight up like pull up three, no rhythm to the offense, and it was a miss. I was like, Jesus, that's a selfish ass shot. Like Doc Rivers lets these guys get away with taking the most selfish ass shots known to man, and that is why this offense is where it is right now. Is because this offense has no flow to it. Okay, guys just want to get theirs. And this is what you get. You get a team that's likely not going to make the playoffs. They're not even – I don't even see how they can make a play-in. Okay?
No, they're out of that.
You're struggling with the Jazz. They won 113-99 yesterday. But if you watch a quarter of that game, which I'll be honest, I did not. I'll have to rewatch it. But if you watch a quarter of that game, you should not – the game against the Jazz should not be close in any way, shape, or form. I don't care that they have Keontae George and Ace Bailey. I don't care about that. There's no Jaren Jackson, and Lloyd Markkanen's still out, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so it's like, why are you having trouble with the Utah Jazz? With Giannis out on the floor.
Correct. See, that's the other big thing. It's with Giannis.
Yes. It's like
that's key.
And this is the most maddening part. All right, like Bucks, there was a fraction of Bucks fans who were saying that they shouldn't tank because if they tank, Giannis leaves. He should leave. Look at the hell he's playing with. Giannis should want to leave. If I'm being completely honest, I know he wants to be loyal. Okay, I know he wants to stay in the city, and I know he maybe not going about it the right way. But look at like playing with the team that he's currently playing with. He should want to leave. He should go for greener pastures. Okay, I don't want Giannis to have to suffer through a middling franchise that can't get out of the first round. Why should he have to do that? That is not what he signed up for. He said, "I want to win another championship."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and if Giannis leaves, it's whatever. He did what he set out to do. He won us the championship, and he played the greatest possible game of his life to be able to accomplish that. And he didn't do it by himself either. It was Chris Middleton. Drew Holiday made some stops. Pat Connaughton was huge. Brooke Lopez was huge. Everybody did what they set out to do to capture that championship. But everybody knows it's over. Okay? It's over. Like, even if Milwaukee doesn't get like another player that could be comparable to Giannis, that's fine. That's perfectly, everybody's perfectly fine with that. Okay. But I'm seeing Bucks diehards, even before Giannis came on the scene, they're like, this is probably the most depressed that I've been watching Bucks basketball because they're getting blown out every game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is the lowest that you could possibly feel as a Bucks fan. The fact that they're getting curb stomped by the Atlanta Hawks. They lost by 45 points to a team that's actively trying to tank. They got a 13-point lead against the Atlanta Hawks. Didn't even matter. Got blown out 131 to 113. How, like, the fact that they're still struggling with tanking teams. Like, if I'm Giannis, I'm sitting down with John Horst at ownership this summer. I'm like, look at the results. Mm-hmm. Like, look what we're dealing with here. Like, we're not good. We're not good on paper. And adding, like continuously digging in to our assets to try to get another guy is not going to help the situation. Okay? The guys that we were relying on early on in the year are no longer there. Gary Trent is playing with the Nazis. Okay, we relied on Gary Trent before the season started. Like if you were to go over like what the rotation is going to look like, okay, you were not Pete. I promise you, Pete Nance was not on your bingo card.
No,
I promise you, Gary Trent being fully healthy and a capable shooter was not going to be relegated to being completely out of the rotation and playing with Thanasis. That was on nobody's bingo card at all. Because you saw the playoff performance that he had last year in the loss of the Indiana Pacers, and you're like, okay, Gary Trent's still really good. Even if, he might have cost us that game. Like, it was a mix of he was really good, but he also cost us that game by the same token. It was on nobody's bingo card that, it was going to be like Pete Nance and, I'm trying to throw out another name. I think it's basically just been Pete Nance, who's been like the new guy in the rotation.
Yep.
And even he doesn't get consistent minutes.
Correct. And then you trade for Usman Da, and he shows out better than 75% of the team.
Oh, man, I watch Usman against the Hawks. I watch him against the Jazz, obviously, but he was a bucket. Usman's a bucket. Like, he's been playing a lot better than Cam Thomas of late.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Cam Thomas only played 6 minutes. Him and Gary Trent right at the end.
Like, that's the thing, is you have to decide. Like, and I also think the Bucks, they have to really decide what their identity is going to be going forward. Like, if it's without Giannis, then okay, we're going to get a bunch of scores and no defense, or and again, and look, whatever Giannis wants to do, I'd be fine with. Okay, if I were him, I would think about leaving and see what Milwaukee can get for a haul. But if Doc Rivers is going to retire, which again I understand, Bucks fans were clamoring. Okay, well, why is Doc Rivers not being fired? Okay, well, number one, you're not going to.
It's not worth it.
Yeah, it's not worth it anymore. I mean, you're not going to fire a guy in March. Like, if they were going to make this move, if they thought the season was lost, you make that move early, like December or January. Although teams have done it really, really.
Like Milan was like a few days before the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, that was odd. So, I mean, if you want to do it there, that's I mean, whatever. I mean, look, if Doc Rivers came to them before the year and it's like, this is probably going to be my last year coaching, I think that's probably why they're not going to make a move. Where it's like, all right, it's probably a lost year. Let's just
finish it out.
Yeah, let's just finish it out. Then let's see what they hire. Now, here's my other thing too. I would not promote Darvin Ham because I don't think that's better.
No.
I think that's more of the same. I think that's kind of small-minded thinking. They need a younger assistant coach. Okay, you need a guy who you can develop with. All right, and look, there's going to be some lean years there. All right, but you have to think that the Bucks are going to be more or less going after like a less experienced coach, who going to be a few lean years, but eventually you're going to make your way back. I would expect that. Like what the Hornets are doing with Charles Lee. You would have thought Charles Lee stunk, but he was like, no, he's coaching the Hornets. He doesn't have a good team. Now all of a sudden the Hornets could like make the playoffs. And I've always kind of considered the Hornets to be like a less serious franchise, but I mean they got some talent there. Bucks have beat them a couple times this year, but let me tell you, Con Kidipple, nothing to be played with.
Correct.
But again, they just need to get a less experienced coach because there's no championship aspirations. Okay, this is not like hiring Adrian Griffin with championship aspirations. It's not like that at all. Okay, and it's been a while since Milwaukee's had to deal with this. But Evan, they have to really decide what they want because in years past, when they've had teams like this, you know what they've done? Old-fashioned coach.
Correct.
Okay, so they've gone
Larry Drew,
Scott.
He was supposed to be life-changing for that team, coming from the Hawks. Like, oh my gosh, we got Larry Drew, holy crap, and then 13 wins.
No, and again, you see some of the guys that they signed, you're like, oh my god, what? They got, and this was with this was Giannis' rookie year, so it was like, oh my goodness, they got Zaza Pachulia and
bringing him from the Hawks too with Larry Drew,
Nate Walters. OJ Mayo, Caron Butler. Oh my goodness, this team about to make the playoffs. Oh no, never mind.
Yeah,
maybe like December, or January, or February. Right? Nope, never mind. This team's not very good. And again, when you watch a team like that, you watch a lot of random players. By the way, did you watch every game that season? Because that kind of escapes me. I don't.
I watched a lot. I have not been able to watch a lot this year with work, but no, that late 2000s, early 2010s, I was locked in on the TV.
Yeah. And see, but that's what people got to realize, okay? When you start adulting, like Evan and I are, like you have less time to watch games. Like I more or less, like I watched every Brewer game last year, but I'll be honest, it was a lot of rewatches for me. Because I just did not have time to just sit in front of the TV and watch with like work going on and stuff. So, and again, I'll have to catch up on some spring training games, but that's neither here nor there. If Milwaukee could just get a coach who they could build a few years with, that's all they need. Just build a few years. Okay. Maybe make your way back into the playoffs. I think that would be good. I just don't think we just need to be giving up more assets to try to maximize Giannis's window, maximize a window, that's not there.
Correct. I just feel like with this team, again, it is not a bad roster. It's just how the place out goes. And how you said, like with Doc Rivers, is like there's just, again, no flow state. When I was at I know I mentioned it the last time, but the game against the Raptors, again, it's like dribble, dribble, dribble. Oh, my turn to shoot. I'm going to try to make, and it's just, turnover. Oh, no, like turnover or miss basket. There's no flow to the offense at all. And again, I feel like, you get a younger coach. Again, it's not going to be like a decade until they're good again. Like, I feel like this roster has potential. It's just how they're being ran. And again, Doc Rivers, again, I feel like it's just not that guy who is going to help run this team into the playoffs, or even do damage in the playoffs. But again, you're looking like Ryan Rollins 5. Like again, Rollins shot 15 attempts. Giannis shot 14. Kuzma 6 of 12. Like not horrible, but again, still up there. But it's just like a lot of 8s and 7s for shot attempts and 12 to 15. And I don't know. There's no primary score again, which should be Giannis, who again had almost a triple double, 4 steals along with that. But again, you're looking at the other team, 4 of 11, 4 of 12, 4 of 17, 4 of 13, and you're still winning by 14 points. But the aspect to that is, Filipowski 11 rebounds, Cody Williams 11 rebounds, 6 rebounds, 5 rebounds. It's like 53 to 48 out rebounded, and again, there's no flow. And I feel like we've seen in the MLB with the younger coaches, you never know. Like Stephen Vogt to the Guardians, instant playoffs in the first year. It's like you just got to get these scrappy guys who know the game and run with it. Give it a year or two. I feel like by 3 years, they are well back into that area range. And I just feel like they just need a coach who has an understanding of how to use these guys. Because again, they got Gary Trent back for cheap. They got Kevin Porter Jr. back for cheap. Taurean Prince, obviously, he's been out the whole year, but he came back. It's like they ran it back with a team they felt comfortable with, but it just hasn't worked with, obviously, injuries, but play style. I just feel like it's just absolutely gone, and there's no... Again, yeah, like you said earlier, it's just like, oh, I want to score now, and there's no play to it. Again, you mentioned Kevin Porter Jr. with that. Again, it's just a lot of the stat padding. He didn't play the last game, being out, but a lot of it is just trying to be the guy when there is no need for you to be the guy when you have 4 others on the court with you. But no, there is potential with this roster. It's just, again, you got to use it correctly. And I feel like Doc Rivers has used them maybe 10% of what they're actually worth throughout the season. And like Gary Trent Jr. should be getting more minutes, and his play style should be a lot better. But again, I just feel like how they used him at the start of the season just wasn't appropriate for what they were truly needing him, especially when Giannis is out earlier on. But no, there's ways around this, and it's just not how I feel like Doc Rivers should be using him as of right now. And I feel like hopefully, again, getting a new coach, hopefully younger, maybe a first-year guy. You never know. Obviously, they didn't work with Adrian Griffin, but it's just, again, who knows the game a lot more than himself, and just being able to use the younger guys and kind of work around them right there. But there's potential with this team. I just feel like Doc Rivers, is just not that guy. But, again, it's not worth firing him right now.
Yeah, and I think Milwaukee knows, like, they're not going to win anything with Kevin Porter Jr. as their lead guard. They have to know that.
Mm-hmm.
They have to know, like, what this team's play style is really not conducive to winning. Like, Kevin Porter Jr. scores 20 points, great. He's, like, stat padding. They have to know, like, and again, it's kind of weird because sometimes they didn't even consider, like, Doc Rivers, like, for some reason, like it was early in the season where he was like, well, the metrics show that, KPJ and Rollins don't play well together. Lo and behold, look what's happened. And again, I forgot who he put in his place. I think it was Gary Trent. I think it was Gary Trent for a number of games. I think it was KPJ and Gary Trent. And it's like Ryan Rollins clearly showed to be the better player. And do I think Kevin Porter Jr. has been a bright spot for Milwaukee this year? Absolutely. But I think you also have to know that, there's kind of a reason why he's been on like 4 or 5 teams. Okay. He is better. This role for him would be better if he were coming off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. For him and Cam Thomas, but not him as a lead guard. Because when you got Giannis, it's like, bro, give me my touches. Like, that's the hardest part about being a point guard in the NBA is the fact that you have to make sure everybody gets involved. And I'm not saying Kevin Porter Jr. never does that. He just doesn't do it on like a consistent enough basis.
Mm-hmm.
And he turns the ball over a lot. Those two things will drive anybody nuts. So, that's just the end of it for me. He's obviously missed the last couple of games due to like knee swelling. And if they're like keep him next year, fine, but like don't have him go into the year as a lead guard because I just don't think that is like a successful role long term for this franchise.
Yeah, especially seeing how well Ryan Rounds has improved this year and even with last year too. Again, mentioned 5-15 shooting, but 11 rebounds and 8 assists, damn near triple double. Couple turnovers, but a few blocks. It makes up on the other end. But when you have someone who just emerged like that this season, obviously kind of was on his come up last year, but this year really kind of I feel like he's made a good spot for most improved player. But when you got someone like this, I feel like who plays with Giannis a lot better. I feel like again that is just either not bench Kuzma, but like bring him off the bench, but or trade him. I feel like the starting rotation I feel like is a little too much, especially with Rounds. Again, they have two way different play styles. With Kevin Porter Jr. being again a lot of that quicker, just kind of go to the hoop kind of guy, or just take him himself. But I feel like for next year, like if they were to keep him, it's got to be off the bench. But you could get some value out of him too. I feel like there's some team who would want him. A lot of teams I feel like would want him as well. So if you can get something good, awesome. Again, I know we mentioned earlier in the season or last year too, it's like I'll keep this guy, but as he continues to play, it's more of a I don't know if it's his attributions are as much as they were hoping for, and or a little too much on the end of where it's like, all right, we can kind of shy away from him as well, especially for how cheap they have him. It's not like they signed him long term, but yeah, no, a lot of big summer choices, and I feel like there's a few things that they could do to keep Giannis to stay. I feel like a lot of guys could go up on the trade block and who have good value with them, and I feel like there's a lot of moves that they could make this year, as long as getting a higher draft pick as well too.
Yeah, and a couple things off that. First off, it is impressive to see where Ryan Rollins has, how far he's taken his game. Because last year he couldn't even get minutes of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I think he started game one and then he didn't really play the rest of the time because I thought he was more or less just like a really good defender. And, the fact he was able to elevate his offensive game just showed how much work he put in, like, over the summer. So that's the first thing. The second thing, when it comes to Giannis, I think every franchise player, I think, goes through this. Like, when you go for, like, a certain amount of time without winning a championship, where you're just, like, you're looking for, like, greener pastures and stuff. Kobe Bryant did the same thing. LeBron eventually did the same thing. Kevin Durant did the same thing. Like, franchise guys on their first team have thought where it's like, oh, this team's not as committed to winning as I thought they were. And we have to separate. Like, I don't want to come back because I don't feel like we're in a position to win.
Mm-hmm.
And look, Giannis might feel the same way this summer. Who knows? Like, it depends on, like, if he meets with ownership and John Horst, where it's like, he's either going to be like, look, I'm committed to the city, and whatever I can do to help this team win, like, let me know. Or it could be, look, I think I've done everything I can for this organization, but I think it's time that you find a spot to where I can win. So, I mean, it will be an interesting conversation this summer. But Evan, I think one thing's for certain: doesn't sound like Doc Rivers is going to be there next year. According to Stephen A. Smith, said that Doc Rivers, in all likelihood, is going to retire next year. What's your reaction to that if that were to occur?
If it occurs, like, thank goodness. Like, I just, again, I know we've mentioned before when they fired Adrian Griffin and brought him in. Again, like, he was retired. He was out. He was done coaching. He was an analyst. Like, that is just like, that shows retirement position after having such a legendary coaching career. And then they bring him back after being out for a little bit. But no, I feel like it's time to just officially hang it up, and not even from like a fan standpoint, just more of they've had him for a few years. Clearly nothing well has done. And I feel like it's just kind of gone down since they brought him in 2.5 seasons ago. But no, I feel I can't disrespect him. Again, he did what he could, but it's time to move on. And I'd rather have him retire than have them fire him. Again, it just a different look for the organization, especially with their past two coaches also being fired as well. I just feel like it's a better look on themselves. So again, hopefully he retires. If he doesn't, then fire him. But if he I don't know if they've talked to him or not, or if he's talked to them, but no, it was definitely great news, and I hope it does come true. Just because again, they need that new the new coach style, especially a younger coach, into that mix. But no, I have my fingers crossed. Every crossed finger I have, hoping that he retires. But if he doesn't, they're still gonna have to move on from him. I feel like, but no, I feel like this could definitely be his last year, especially with how the team is going. Um, the last 2.5 seasons with them, this has by far been the worst, obviously, but I feel like you just gotta end it at one point, and I feel like after the season, just kind of hang him up.
Yeah, and I think every Bucks fan knew that the hiring really just didn't make a whole lot of sense. Really, from the perspective of, I mean, you fire Mike Budenholzer like a few years after he captured a championship for the city of Milwaukee, and but even before that, Mike Budenholzer had a spotty playoff record.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like now it's like you know the Milwaukee Bucks made a really bad decision in terms of firing a coach just to fire a coach, because I think they knew that, number one, the hiring Adrian Griffin's like, okay, there's really no plan in place. The cycle, so to speak, in that 2023 year wasn't very good. Like, okay, like who they like think about some of the names. Okay, it was like Monty Williams. It was Scott Brooks, I think, was probably in there. Like Mike
Mm-hmm.
D'Antoni, like Terry Stotts, like Doc Rivers wasn't even in that list. And because I think he had just gotten fired from the Sixers. So they were like, all right, well, we're not just gonna we're not gonna hire Doc Rivers. So Doc Rivers like fully committed to going to ESPN. And Adrian Griffin, they thought that, well, Toronto had a lot of success. With Adrian Griffin being the lead assistant to Nick Nurse. So it's like, well, Toronto had a lot of success against Milwaukee. So why don't we take from the Nick Nurse brain trust, hire Adrian Griffin? Granted, the only reason why it didn't work is because the play style is like a little like the defense wasn't very good. It was like
Mm-hmm.
it didn't really
Very offensive heavy.
yeah, it was offensive heavy and it didn't really complement what each person does defensively. So like I think one of the things was like Milwaukee is very successful in that drop coverage defense.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Adrian
Brook
Griffin
Lopez.
went away from that, and he had like Brook Lopez try to like blitz the guys up at the top of the key, and I was like, all right, well, that's not what he does well at
Yeah.
all.
He's not fast, so he can't get back.
No, and again, I told you this before. Like a lot of those scores, okay, they were 31-13, but if you look at those like 31 wins, a lot of those were very high scoring games,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if they kind of figured out where we're probably just winning off talent alone, which again I think you can do. I mean, Steve Nash did it with the Nets, where allegedly they weren't running any plays. It was like, all right, well, shit, we got like Kyrie, James Harden, and Kevin Durant.
Just go out there.
Yeah, just make chicken salad out of chicken, what. Griffin though just didn't have the respect of Giannis or Lillard, and once those two guys don't really respect you, then I mean you're going to be the first person to go. Now, I think the Bucks for that one saw there was warning signs early because they hired Doc Rivers as an advisor to help Adrian Griffin along, like
Mm-hmm.
as he navigates becoming a coach. Kind of knowing full well that there were issues there, and and this is why I don't agree with what the Bucks did, because it's kind of a scummy move to be like,
I
all
was
right,
gonna
well,
say, kind of shady.
to be like, all right, well, Doc Rivers, I would bring you as like a little advisor to help Adrian Griffin along, but if
Mm-hmm.
this continues not to work, hey, we got the Doc Rivers in our back pocket, and again, they weren't going to fire him after half a year, so all right, so then Doc Rivers was like, all right, let's see what we look at the full off season. Okay, they looked a little better, like 48 and like 34 or whatever. But then, but But unfortunately, back-to-back playoff runs, they suffered injuries.
Hmm.
Giannis had a soleus strain in his calf, and then Damian Lillard had, he blew out his Achilles. Which I get it. Even without Damian Lillard blowing out his Achilles, they probably were not
Yeah, they
getting
weren't
past
doing
the
anything.
Pacers.
No.
Pacers were Tyrese Halliburton in that playoff series, or in the playoffs in general, on another level. So, notwithstanding, and then this year, obviously, you come into it, and the team just hasn't been great like the whole year. You've lost to the Wizards 3 times. You've gotten blown out by the Nets. You've just gotten killed by just average teams in the NBA. And, you're even having trouble with like teams that are supposed to be the bottom feeders. So that's a recipe to where your team's just not very good. And, again, you add Giannis against the Celtics. I knew that was going to do nothing.
Hmm.
It's like the Celtics are head and shoulders above the Bucks. They always seem to make the right decision. And the Bucks just can't get out of their own way. The Bucks Celtics rivalry in the playoffs, the regular season, that's gone now. It's just Milwaukee just has to like rebuild, getting like younger talent. And if Giannis wants to stay, that's fine. But if they can build younger talent around him, amazing. But going back to it for a sec, I would be perfectly fine. Doc Rivers retired. I don't even think he wanted the job in the first place.
No.
He was like, "Well, I don't know why they hired me. I wouldn't have done this, but whatever. I'm going to take the job." I wouldn't have hired him in the first place. He could go back. He could, if he wants to be an analyst, fine. But if he wants to golf, fine. This is probably the last head coaching job. Like, give credit to him. I mean, I don't want to be disrespectful either, because at the end of the day, he's given a lot to the NBA. He's a semifinalist for the Hall of Fame. So there's a lot of peers who believe he's an all-time great coach. I also think that, he's coached a lot of great players, which I think has had a lot to do with it. But again, I'm not going to discredit him. And, it's unfortunate that, it didn't work with Doc Rivers in Milwaukee. I know he went to the University of Marquette.
Hmm.
And it unfortunately just didn't work. And I think that after this season, they're probably just going to like part ways. Doc Rivers can just go into retirement.
Yeah, it was needed. But no, again, like you said, can't really discredit him. Again, you do what you do with who you have, and unfortunately this year didn't work. Again, you're working around a lot of injuries, a lot of younger players, and just obviously Doc Rivers isn't the best guy with working with younger players, known for that very veteran status. But no, again, I would rather just kind of go off on that parting ways and make sure nothing is like icky with this whole process, which I don't think it will be. But yeah, a weird hiring in general. But I feel like there's an easy way to go out with this, especially if he retires, and then you got a summer to kind of look at potential guys for next season. Again, as long as it's not Darvin Ham.
Got that right. Next up, we got Chris Broussard had some poignant criticism for Giannis Antetokounmpo, where he said the following. I don't think I passed it at all, but it was essentially in the TLDR is that I think following the loss against the Boston Celtics, Giannis questioned the team's effort, and Chris Broussard from First Things First was like, I don't think I agree, but by the same time, the Bucks are not trying to, that your teammates are not trying to have you question their toughness or, them not trying and stuff like that. And to Chris Broussard, I would say Giannis has earned every right to do that. He's earned every right to call out his teammates. He, with the way this team is playing this year, he's watching what this team's looked like without him on the floor. I think he is absolutely granted any ability to criticize his teammates. Any ability. Because Giannis puts in max effort 110% of the time. And if you don't think he does, you haven't watched him for very long.
You're not watching. We're watching different games then.
Yeah. Like, he absolutely should be questioning why guys are allowing 3-point shooters to get wide open shots. He absolutely should be questioning why nobody's trying that hard to grab a rebound. He absolutely should be questioning on why the ball is constantly being turned over. Like, he's earned that right. As a guy who helped deliver a championship to the city of Milwaukee, he's earned it. To be like, y'all not trying hard, okay? Why am I coming back if you guys aren't going to put in any effort?
Mm-hmm.
Our playoff position is not over. Us fighting for a play-in is not over. Why are you guys playing like the season's over? He's earned it. He has absolutely earned it. I 1,000% agree with him. And anybody who can't deal with a little criticism from your franchise player, I'm sorry, you can just go kick rocks. You go kick rocks. Giannis is calling out. You know, I'll take it a step further. This is a sorry-ass basketball team. Okay, Giannis at least being a little nicer about it, because every fan knows that this sorry-ass basketball team, okay, couldn't guard its own shadow. Like you're allowing 107 points. You allow that many points to the Boston Celtics, and you always score 82?
Yeah.
What the hell is he supposed to say? No, we played like dog shit. I'm literally coming back from a calf injury that I could re-injure, I might add. Okay? I could blow out my Achilles, because that's usually a precursor for an Achilles. And I'm trying to have us fight for a playoff position. Okay? I'm not sitting out, which is what some of the national pundits have been wanting me to do. And now you're playing like this the first day I get back. The first day I get back. I have to be out there to give this damn team some juice. Like, I'd be mad too. I'd be mad too if, everybody's just shooting at you, as you like to call it, concert dates. I'd be mad too. Scoring 82 points in a regulation NBA game. Yep. I'd be pissed off. I'd be pissed off that nobody outside of me is doing anything offensively. Yeah, that would make me mad. He was absolutely earned the right to call out any and all members of the organization. Okay? So no, I'm not. I will not. So no, Giannis shouldn't sugarcoat. He's a franchise player, and if you want to, but again, do I think it's gonna really do any good? No, I don't.
No.
I don't, because Doc Rivers is still saying, "Oh, well, we're trying to just figure out some different things." What? It's March. It's March.
Yeah, now. You've had time.
We're in March. We're in March. March Madness is about to start. Like, what do you mean you got to figure it out? You don't have to figure it out. Like, this team has no identity. Why don't you just say that? We're just trying some things out. This is not the time to try things out. Okay, the time to try things out is November and December, not March. Not we're halfway. Not where people battle for playoff position. Okay, that's literally not the time to be like, well, we got to figure out rotations. We got to figure out what our play style is. No, that's not the time. Okay, you should have figured that out by now. You should have figured that out damn near before Christmas, for God's sakes. But again, this just goes back to it. It's just everything with Doc Rivers has to be an excuse.
Correct.
Every single thing with him has to be an excuse. Oh, we gotta. Well, it's like we're dumb. It's just like, even the Jericho Sims thing. It's like, why have you not watched the game? Jericho Sims does a lot of smart things on the floor. No, he doesn't. He picks up 2 illegal screens a game. Okay. And by the way, there was a few games where you actually benched him, so you didn't always believe in him. So I'm tired of Doc Rivers just throwing out so many excuses about his shitty coaching. It's your job to get these players ready to play. All right? It's nobody else's. Okay? You have a championship pedigree. You're a coach of the championship pedigree. Okay? I'm starting to believe less and less in that, because I get it. He's won a lot of regular season games. Okay? Also helps that he damn near coached 8 or 9 Hall of Famers. That would help me. That would help me be one of the greatest coaches of all time if I coached Tracy McGrady, Rajon Rondo, Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Chris Paul, Jamal Crawford, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan. All right. And Evan, let's take it a step further. Tyrese Maxey, James Harden, Joel Embiid. That would help me become a Hall of Fame coach when you damn near have 8 or 9 guys that you've coached in your career. That would help me. That has nothing to do with Doc Rivers. That has everything to do that the talent that why are we not putting these GMs in the Hall of Fame for assimilating that team?
Mm-hmm.
Is Danny Ainge in the Hall of Fame? Danny Ainge is the one who put that team together, the big three. Okay. Like, I know he's done some dumb things, but Daryl Morey got James Harden. Like, so that's where it's just like, dude, it's less. Sometimes it's less about the coach. It's more about the players. Okay. Doc Rivers it's like, well, he won a championship. Yeah, in 2008. Do you know how many things have changed since 2008? Damn near iPhones were barely a thing. Okay. All right. Like I was 8. I don't remember. I was not. I was not studying the 2008 NBA Finals between the Celtics and the Celtics and the Lakers, excuse me. Okay? I'm happy that Doc Rivers captured a championship. I'm happy that Paul Pierce, had to poop, so that's why he used the wheelchair to go to the bathroom. I'm happy that he had that Finals experience, okay? But let's be honest here. Doc Rivers had a little more pep in his step back then. Okay. And now all of a sudden he's leaning over like this. He's sitting down. He has no energy. He's checked out. Okay. Goodness, he has no energy to coach. All right. There's no fire. I don't see a fire in him. Okay. That's the problem with these old school coaches. Okay. They have no fire left.
They think they can lay back because, we've been through this before. It's just that lay back play style. Veteran status.
And again, Greg Popovich almost died. Literally. He damn near coached till he died. Like, he had a stroke. Okay? So that's where it's like, what is the... And again, you're seeing less and less like old school coaches. Like, okay, you got Rick Carlisle, right?
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of these guys are getting there to be in like their 40s or 50s or whatever. So, I mean, a lot of these guys are like, are seeing like the rigors and the stress of being an NBA coach. I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to end it after a certain time.
Correct. No one to leave.
All right. Well, the last one I got, Jay Williams at first things first. So the Bucks are in purgatory. Really hard to disagree. Honestly, really, really, really hard to disagree with that. Do you think the Bucks are in purgatory?
A little bit, but not as big as like when I think of like basketball purgatory, I think of like the Washington Wizards. I think about the Atlanta Hawks, even though they just whooped us. The Hornets have been one of those teams. They've gotten a little bit out of it, but like I think of those teams who have gone in no direction the last God knows how long. Like the Wizards, like what is the motive to this franchise? They have done absolutely nothing. They wasted John Wall. They wasted Bradley Beal. It's like you had talent. You have Trae Young now and Anthony Davis. It's like cool, but what is the point around it? I can understand the idea of saying that the Bucks are in basketball purgatory, but you still have Giannis. You still have a decent roster that could get you out of it. Again, I just feel like the coaching is just holding them behind, and injuries are holding them behind. I wouldn't necessarily agree with it, but I feel like there are aspects to it, but I feel like there have been teams who have been far more into that basketball purgatory than like the Jazz, again, another team where it's just like there are teams who have done literally nothing the last over 10 years. The Bulls, again, the same thing. They're just always at the same spot in the standings. The Kings, the like there's just so many teams I feel like that are just stuck and haven't done anything to grow, or whenever they do, they trade them away. But I would say they're in purgatory this year, but I wouldn't consider them to be a current team who's just been stuck in it. Because again, sure, they lost in the first round the last 3 years, but they're in the playoffs. They had a winning record. It's just injuries that I feel like have been holding them back the last 4 or 5 years at this point. But no, it's a tricky one. I would say this season it's more of a Bucks purgatory, but I wouldn't consider them to be a team who has just been stuck like this forever. When there are teams who are literally just 500, a mid 500 team, or just absolute bottom feeders year in and year out, where there's just no growth to it, there's no change or anything. Again, I feel like the best example right now is the Hornets. They're the 10 seed, they're 500, but they used to be 12, 13, 14 every year with no motive. Same with the Magic, now that the Magic have slowly skyrocketed up. But yeah, there's just teams who I feel like have always been stuck more than the Bucks have, I guess, in recent history or even the last 15, 20 years.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like Evan and I know was what purgatory looks like because the Bucks actually used to be in purgatory. Okay, with the Monte Ellis, Brandon Jennings days, I would consider that to be purgatory, where it's like you're fighting, like you said, the same spot every year. The Bucks used to be like that, where it's like not great seasons, but it's like good enough to be in the playoffs, but not really like.
But then you're playing the Heat.
Yeah, not really make a dent or an impact or anything like that. Like, okay, 2013, like that year with Monte Ellis and Brandon Jennings, like when they, like got in as an 8 seed with like a losing record, and they lost, and they got swept by the Heat, and that's where the famous Brandon Jennings quote came from, where he was like, "I believe we're going to win in 6 games," and they lost in 4. Which, I mean, first of all,
confidence.
It was insane that he would say that because. It was keep in mind, it was like the big 3 plus like Mike Miller and, Norris Cole and Mario Chalmers and the Birdman. Like they just had like their role players were just up here. Like I think he should have looked at it and was like, all right, well, we're probably not going to win with, like JJ Redick and Mike Dunleavy as our. Like it was a nice thought, but they're not LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh. So
I don't hate the confidence. It shows that like, hey. Yeah, we're done. That's like
I liked it. I liked it. No, I mean, look, I was just like, well, they didn't get killed, but again, like you said, the Hornets every year seemingly are in purgatory, where they're just fighting for a play-in every year. They're not getting any better, they're not getting any worse, but they're, this year they seem to almost break through. But. I mean, look, if you're going to keep Giannis and like kind of remain in the same position, you might be a purgatory. Like break through a little bit at least. Like the Jazz are now in purgatory after they traded away Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, because I think they were like contenders. I would say, like I think Utah was. I don't know if like Utah was like a good team, like with Quinn Snyder, Donovan Mitchell, like Royce O'Neal, Rudy Gobert, like when they had Joe Ingles and guys like that, Mike Conley. Like when they had those guys, okay, this team could win a championship. But I think after that, after they got rid of those guys, all right, they're going to go through like a lengthy rebuild. They brought back Danny Ainge. Now his kid's running it. So now it just feels like, well, the Jazz are just, the Jazz got fined for tanking. So you just don't know where the Jazz are going to go from this point. Pacers I would expect to be back to full next year. Like I don't think they're going to be this bad. It's just they hit like a rash of injuries and it just never recovered from that. And I think you knew that as soon as Halliburton went down, it was like, all right, well, this team's not going to be very good next year, because that like Tyrese Halliburton's the straw that stirs the drink. And, without him, it's like, you just got like, spilled chocolate milk on the countertops. Okay. Is what the Indiana Pacers are right now. Because I mean, you can't have Jay Huff be like your best player. Or, Siakam's been okay. He's been solid, but, that's not really his role. He's got to, like, have people set him up. And so, yeah, I would agree with you on there. I don't think the Bucks are in purgatory, but, we'll see what the next 3, 4, 5 years are going to bring.
Correct.
They could very well find themselves to be back in the position that they were, like, a number of years ago.
Yeah, it's a little early to... After one bad year, it's a little too early to say. If you could say in 3 years and they're still fighting like this, then you could say it. But I just feel like it's a little early to kind of have that narrative when there again are have been teams who have been in that same spot year in and year out for what feels like forever. Maybe make the playoffs once or twice, but then that's it. You don't get up past the first round. They don't just randomly win a championship and then back down to last place. But yeah, I feel like it's a little early. Give it like 2 or 3 years then to kind of be the judge of how they're doing or seeding wise. But yeah, there's 5 or 6 teams at least that you could put them over the Bucks as well for that purgatory standpoint.
Yep. So Evan, you got anything else?
Nope. Again, they played today a back-to-back game against the Magic home and then Tuesday against the Suns, but we'll see. Again, it's at this point, it's just who knows what's going to happen. It'll be a mystery.
Yep. So I just want to thank you guys for tuning in to this edition of the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast, and we'll see you guys next week.